Take a look at these photos. These photos were taken by someone who is saying that they are a member of ISIS, and we are everywhere. We are here. Clearly meant to be somewhat disturbing and unsettling to Americans looking at a picture of somebody wearing an ISIS headband and ISIS symbols on their phone taken at One World Trade Center and in front of the Metropolitan Museum. Are they real is the question that a lot of law enforcement officials are now asking. I want to bring in an expert. He is a former FBI special agent, former Navy SEAL, and counterterrorism expert, Jonathan Gilliam. Jonathan, welcome back to Chasing News. How are you?
It's always good to be with you all.
Real or not real when you took a look at these photos?
Obviously, it's real because even if this person is joking around, you got to remember what terrorism is. It's the use of violence, intimidation, and coercion for a political aim, right? So if they're out there trying to intimidate people by using these pictures, then ISIS is one. Even if this is a joke and the person has nothing to do with it, it's still an effective picture to cause terror in people. So it's real. Now, whether or not this person is a real operative, that's another question.
Jonathan, right away, they came out and said there's no credible threat related to this. But as I understand it, there have been nearly 100 plots since 9/11 that have been foiled by Homeland Security and our law enforcement. So what does no credible threat really mean?
I tell you what it means. It means politicians are trying to get people to just go about their daily business. Instead of saying that, though, they always love to say no credible or specific threats. I'm here to tell you, there's credible threats against New York City, and it's specific against New York City. I don't know why they keep saying that. But what they should be doing is saying, this is what the person is wearing. If you see something like this around a museum or some kind of location in New York City, notify authorities immediately, but keep your head about you. Don't go back into your phone. Look around when you're there. That's what they should be saying.
Jonathan, are we at the next level? I mean, what occurred to me immediately was that the face was blurred. And I understand that we don't know who exactly took it, et cetera. But even if it were a joke, you'd think that you'd want to be able to identify that person. You know, the old see something, say something. Somebody might know who this guy is.
Right. You know, and again, I think whoever may have first gotten that picture to print it, whether it be the AP, I don't know where it came from. They may be concerned that it's an underage person pulling a prank and they could be sued. That's the only reason why I could think that that would be blurred. Other than that, it makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Okay, Jonathan, always good to talk to you. Be safe. Thank you. All right, let's bring in our A-plus panel to talk about it. Archange Antoine is with us. He's the Executive Director of Faith in New Jersey. Welcome, Archange.
Thank you, Bill.
Misty Maris is here. She's an attorney. Always good to have you on the show, Misty. And Laura Nanos, lawyer and columnist. Archange, I'm going to start with you. I look at this and I understand the concern about a lawsuit, et cetera, but I think we're way beyond that. We've got to see who these people are. If that's a prank, it shouldn't be tolerated. On the other side, if it is a real potential threat, somewhat unsettling.
I think we need to make sure that we are not falling in the trap of what terrorists want us to do, which is be fearful, to divide each other and not communicate with each other. But more importantly, we need to start looking at ISIS and looking at the beginning. We would not have ISIS if we did not go into Iraq and destabilize the country. But more importantly, what is our country doing about individuals from Saudi Arabia as well as the Syrian government who have been supporting ISIS and their expansion? Those are big issues.
Well, Archange, all due respect, Saudi Arabia is one of our staunchest allies in the war on terror, like Jordan, and I think that that is part of what fuels this anti-Muslim sentiment that we label all the countries instead of the terrorist harboring ones, which Saudi Arabia is not.
It's actually fact that individuals have.
Well, let me ask you this, Misty, do you fear going into New York City?
Look, I live in New York City, and everyone there is resilient, but you want to feel safe. My opinion of this guy, if this is a prank, this is terrible. It's like yelling fire in a crowded theater. It's inciting violence. It's inciting a riot. This kid needs to be found, no matter what.
Laura, are liberals too quick to want to point to policy and blame politics? We could talk all day about the destabilization of Iraq and the war in the Middle East. The reality is ISIS is here. They're aggressive. They hate America, and they want to hurt us.
Well, I don't think the answer is to blame anybody for being too quick to blame one thing or another thing. I think all of these issues contribute to this kind of as a totality of the circumstances. And I think it's really important to strike a balance in everything we do. And that means being aware of those around you, but not being alarmist. It means going about your life, but being aware.
But why the disconnect? Going about our life means we forget this happened. Maybe it's time to expose people like that, whether they're underage or not. I'd like to see that picture unblurred and posted everywhere.
Well,
I do agree.
If this person put this into a public forum, there's no reason why this picture shouldn't be in its true form.
That's exactly right.
It depends on where it came from.
you see, though, that this is what happens when, for example, the press is more fearful of things like lawsuits because it will bankrupt them than doing the right thing.
We need to be in a post-lawsuit world and go after the bad guys. That's what we need to do.
Let's say and I are in trouble.
All right,
Yeah,
let's
we're
leave
in
it
trouble.
there.
We need a lawsuit world. Yes.